Running a home service business is hard. So how is it that some people make it look so easy? Well, we'll tell you. This is the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. It's always good to hear the wins that successful contractors have. But have you ever thought that the best advice would be to hear about the speed bumps they encountered, the mistakes they've made along the way? We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We want you to be successful and avoid the mistakes others have made. Let's get this party started. Welcome to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Now your host, Justin Deese.
Either you own the day or the day owns you. Today, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into more details. But before, I want to say this. Thank you for coming and hanging out and checking out another podcast, this weekly episode. We're going to dive into a little bit about routine. And at the time this releases, we just wrapped up Christmas, and we're in that lull between Christmas and New Year's. And this is a lot of time when people are thinking about New Year's resolutions, and they're kind of thinking about what 2025, because at the time of recording it's 2024, so what 2025 has in store for them and what it's going to look like. And before we jump into it, I want to say this. Whether you're listening to this the day this episode releases or it's 5 years down the road, this topic is relevant. It really doesn't matter what year. So hang out with us and let's talk a little bit about what it looks like. So the truth is, I chose this topic because being that it's the end of the year, people typically start to do things like make New Year's resolutions or sometimes people call them other things, but really they're New Year's resolutions. They're like, hey, last year I didn't do this, and this year I'm going to do that. And really, whatever that looks like for you, I think it is a good time to reflect and figure out hey, did I hit some of the goals that I wanted to hit for last year? But so I want to say this. I was doing a little bit of research on this topic because I like goal setting. And to me, really, a New Year's resolution is nothing more than just setting a goal, right? I think where most people make mistakes is they throw out these big, lofty goals, and they don't really dial in these goals. And I did an episode a while back about SMART goals, which you can listen to that episode or Google SMART goals. SMART goals is a really good way to do any kind of goal setting, which SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Meaning a lot of people come into the new year, either weight loss or health, whatever. That's normally one of the biggest topics that people think about, which is great. I think people should always want to improve themselves, but they give out these goals. They're like, I'm going to lose 50 pounds or 20 pounds or whatever. And the truth is, you got to break that down a little bit. Today's episode's not really about the goal setting part of it, but it's just, and more specifically, it's going to be about how do you own your day in general. So there is a thing that says 91% of Americans that make resolutions do not complete them. And I got to tell you, when I found that statistic from the great and all-powerful Oz of Google, I was a little surprised. And honestly, I was a little surprised because I figured it would be higher than 91%. If you're listening to this, I'm guessing you're part of the 9% that gets it done, right? The 9% that takes action and see things all the way through. That's why we're hanging out. That's why you're here, self-improvement. But did you know that the second Friday of January is known as Quitter's Day? Like, think about that. So people make a resolution and they go live on it on January 1. Like, worst case scenario, you're talking 14 days, less than 14. Chances are it's less than 14 days. I haven't looked at a calendar to know how relevant that is to this year, if it's 14 days or 9 days or whatever, but it's one of those things where it stinks that that so many people give up on their goals. But here's the deal. A quote just popped in my head that I want to share. It is from a famous philosopher. That famous philosopher is actually the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland. And the quote is, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And I think that's a lot of the truth when it comes to owning the day and being intentional. So now a little bit about me. I have ADD. I guess now they call it ADHD. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because routine is very important to me in order to keep it all together. If I don't have a plan or a routine, I could get up. I could spend 12, 14 hours a day working and get absolutely nothing done. So for me, it's not even an option not to have a routine. Like I have to have a routine. And I don't think, whether you have ADHD or don't, I still think there's a lot of factors that will really help you and improve, right? And even to the point where I have a group of friends where we text each morning, kind of like where we are on our journey. Like, yeah, I got done working out, or yes, I meditated. And this is not a group chat. I'll tell you a little bit about me. I do not like group text messages. I don't like them. I usually don't participate in them. So I have about a dozen friends, and we have individual text messages that we send each morning, just checking in. And it's such a great thing to have that accountability both ways, right? Like I don't want to not send something, and they don't want to send something to me. So one of the things I would say about having a good routine is, do you have somebody that will kind of check in with you or be that good accountability partner with you? I don't know. But tell you a little bit about my daily routine, and maybe this will help you. So I wake up between 5 and 5:30 each morning. And now I usually have a clock set. It's usually for about 5:15, but some days I wake up before that. I don't really wake up after that because my clock goes off. And I'm one of those that once I'm up, I'm up. There's no going back to sleep once I wake up. And that means if I wake up at 3:30 in the morning, then I'm up at 3:30 in the morning. So one of the first things I do after let's call it my morning routine of being an adult, right? Going to the restroom, brushing your teeth, that kind of thing, is I'll drink a glass of water. I think sometimes we forget that we've been sleeping and our bodies are dehydrated because we've just gone however long without drinking any water, which is a lot of times why you're tired or why you have a headache or whatever. So very first thing I do, I pound a giant thing of water. And then the next thing I do is a supplement. Actually, the specific supplement that I take is AG1. For a lot of years, I made my own green juices, which I hope that I get back to that, but it does take a lot of time to make those. And AG1's easy, like scoop it, bam, shake it up, drink it. It's good. And then I'll make a pot of coffee. And usually while I'm making a cup of coffee or while the pot's brewing, I will sit down, and I have a little place where I sit down, and I have a daily reader, and I kind of go through, I read my daily reader. For my kids, for a lot of years, I do daily notes to them, and usually they're motivational quotes. So I'll write something out for them, and I stick it on their mirror. So when they get up in the morning and they look in the mirror, the first thing they see is whatever quote that I've put up there. I'm going to say a little bit more about that. I wasn't planning on it, but it's funny because I've been doing that for a lot of years for my kids. And at one point, I kind of stopped doing it, and nobody said anything, and I didn't think much about it, and I didn't know, like, do they even pay attention? And one day my wife said, the kids wish that you would keep doing that. I'm like, I didn't know. So anyway, so I do it again, and I love doing it, and it's pretty phenomenal to think that they actually pay attention to it. Right? It's pretty cool. But anyway, so after I do that, then typically I will work out. Now I will tell you, for me, working out is really walking or running. And not gonna lie, it's probably more walking than running. I'm not a big weightlifter. I have some equipment in my office that some dumbbells and stuff. Every now and again, I'll do a little bit of stuff, but for me, walking really does it. Kind of gets me going in the morning, gets my brain fired, which is nice. My morning time is typically my most creative time. And I don't know if that's just me or if most people are like that, but that is my most creative time. So a lot of times working out for me in the morning, I struggle with it because I want to be working, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, I have all these great ideas and I need to get them on paper and whatever. And so to solve that problem, I have a treadmill in my office and it actually has a desk on it. So if I'm watching or listening or whatever, I have my little notebook right there that I can write any kind of ideas or thoughts um, that come to me, which is pretty cool. And now there's becoming all these apps, and I don't know if you're an iPhone user. There's note apps now. They'll do where you can hit the button and record your voice, and it'll transcribe it. And so I'm starting to use that a lot now, which is really nice to be able to get that out of my brain and continue to work out and not be bogged down with thinking that I'm missing something or the opportunity's missing. But once I work out, typically I will skim through my emails just to make sure there's nothing kind of major that I've missed or that is coming up or that happened overnight. Typically there's not. It's probably one of those habits that I could not check it, but I don't get too bogged down in it, but I do check it just to make sure there's nothing super urgent that I've missed. One of my apps that I use to kind of organize my life is called Todoist. It's a free app. It's on the phone, computer. That's kind of where I put any of my quick little to-do lists. My brain is one where when I have a task list, if I get to check it off, it just feels good to me. Like it feels really good to be able to just check it off. I love that app. So I usually kind of just skim through that real quick in the morning and make sure there's nothing, just to kind of mentally prepare. Then on my calendar, each day I have a block of time for getting ready for the day. And usually it's about 7 and it's kind of getting ready for the day where I'll sit down with my calendar and just go through what the day is going to look like. And honestly, what I'm doing is I'm mentally prepping for what the day's what the day is going to be all about. Because I again, just like this podcast, I feel like the more you own the day, the better it goes. And there's tons of benefits that we'll get to in a little bit on that. But having that calendar time between me and my calendar is really, when I started doing that a couple of years ago, and it was just such a big impact for me because now I'm thinking about it. Where before, when I was just kind of getting into my day, I would miss things because I wasn't even thinking about it, or there were so many alerts that I had going on that stuff just kind of gets lost in translation a little bit. But the other trick I started to do is on my calendar when I'm doing my prep for the morning, any invite or any calendar events that I have, any meetings that I have, I actually set an alarm on my phone. And I set an alarm for my phone for 10 minutes out, and it will basically, that 10 minutes gives me time to prep, or if it's a video call, make sure I'm where I can be on a video call, or whatever it is, make sure I'm mentally prepared so that whoever I'm meeting with or whatever the topic is or whatever subject matter we're talking about, I'm ready to talk about it and be a little prepared, because I don't like that whole being rushed thing. So anyways, that's a little bit of what my daily routine looks like. And that's probably between, 5:30 and 7. So, to me, it's really I'm going to say a non-negotiable for me. If ever I woke up at 7 and started my day, I would be so lost in my day. I honestly don't know that I would get anything done because I would just be in scramble mode. And that's just not it doesn't feel good for me. I don't think it feels good for anybody, but I don't know. This is just me. Now, I want to say this. This all kind of ties into being intentional, like being intentional, not being reactionary. And I think there's all kinds of places in your life where this kind of stuff can show up. And I think about the saying of, how you do some things is how you do everything. I think the more that you're intentional about things you do, that spreads across your whole life. And even if you're one right now that you're not in control of it and the morning just kind of happens to you, which then means the day kind of happens to you, I think if you make some of these shifts, you'll be pleasantly surprised with the outcome that will happen by you being intentional. Now, I know that some people aren't morning people. Some people are night owls or whatever. I don't think it matters whether you're a morning person or not a morning person, but it is about being intentional with your day. And so you do need to give yourself some time to wake up. I mean, you think about it. If your clock goes off and you wake up and you do your stuff and you're rushing out the door to go do whatever it is you're doing, man, just mentally, I don't know how in the world you could be in a good place to literally go crush the day. I feel like what happens is the day crushes you, and that's just not a great place to be. So I do want to talk about a few benefits to being intentional about your day. Increased productivity, right? If you are being intentional about what you're doing for your day, I think that what it does is it gives you this space to be way more productive than what you normally would be, because I don't know the best way to say it, but because now all of a sudden you know what's coming, you're mentally ready. And then by planning and prioritizing these tasks, like, you can give the focus and energy to the things that need the focus and energy. The other thing is, part of it is that if there's something that doesn't need your attention as bad, or it doesn't need to take up the day, you can make some shifts, which kind of brings you back to the control you get. You have a greater control over your day when you know what your day looks like. Like, when you sit down and you know what your day looks like, you have such a better control over all the things that are going to go on and happen. Now, from a leader, part of the deal is from a leadership standpoint, maybe you've got one-to-ones you're doing with your team. Great. You need to mentally be prepared. Don't ever show up and not be prepared. Or maybe you're hosting some kind of training for your team. Again, don't just show up, be prepared. So this is going to give you a little bit more control over what your day looks like. The other byproduct of that is going to be, now your focus is going to be way better, because now, again, your focus, you're giving yourself a little bit of space in order to be dialed in on what it is that you're doing that day. Another thing is going to be decision-making. I think you're going to have better decision-making simply because now you're giving yourself a little bit of space in order to look at it and make better decisions, because they're a little more thought out decisions versus the on-the-fly decisions. Another big benefit of being intentional about your day is it's going to reduce your stress. It's going to reduce your stress because now you're not in hurry up offense mode all day long every day. You're not going. You've got yourself a little bit of space where you can be intentional about everything you do, which, again, that's just naturally going to reduce the stress level that you're going to have. The other advantage to that is, now from a mindset perspective, it is way easier to have a positive mindset when you own and control that day versus it stomping you. God, man, think about that. Like, just getting beat up and not owning the day, and the day owning you. There's no way to have a positive mindset on that. Like, how do you get done with the day and you're like, yeah, I totally got beat up today, but yeah, I'm feeling super great and awesome and positive. No, own the day, be more positive. It will help you have such a better positive mindset. Now, definitely not least, but a last benefit that comes from owning your day as well is you're going to achieve more goals. You're going to achieve more goals because now, as you look at your day and you're thinking about all the things that you have to do for the day, now what you're going to be able to do is, if there's some strategic time or whatever that looks like, you're going to be able to carve out time to work on certain things. Now, if you're not intentional with your day, and again, this is me speaking to you from experience, right? Owning my day is something that I have to work on every single day, right? And I know that when I get up, when I have a well thought out, planned out day and an action plan, and I follow it, what happens is then when there is that downtime, I'm able to think about what strategic thing I'm going to work on. So part of my morning planning is, if I have a 2-hour gap in my day, I can now think about what I'm going to be working on during that period of time, where if you're just kind of going through the motions, then you get done with a meeting and you got a 2-hour gap. Now you're spending time going, now what am I going to work on? It's not a great way to do it. So here is my question to you. Do you have a daily routine? And I don't mean, it doesn't have to be 100% dialed in, written down, but do you have a daily routine? Let me take that back. Everybody's got a daily routine. Do you own the daily routine? Is it your daily routine that you intentionally want, or Is it that fight or flight first thing you get up in the morning, running out the door, hair on fire? Oh my gosh, every single meeting, every single person that I deal with is a hair on fire meeting. I don't know. But be intentional about your time. If I could say nothing else that would land for you for our time together today is, as you think about your morning, be intentional. If you don't have 2 hours to spend to be intentional about your day, that's fine. Start out with 15 minutes. Start out with whatever amount of time that you can give yourself. I mean, if you had an hour, great. But if you have 15 minutes, it doesn't matter. Just be intentional with the time. Be intentional so that as you start the day, you are owning that day. You're not getting crushed, you're crushing it. So that's what I've got for today. I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. I hope you're all ready to start out to an amazing 2025. Thank you all so much for coming and hanging out and listening and being a part of this Freedom Blueprint podcast. I thank you all so much for hanging out, and I will see you in 2025.
You've been listening to the Freedom Blueprint podcast. Information is useless if not applied. So take what you've learned and go and implement it. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on social media at Freedom Blueprint for Home Services and hit the website at www.freedomblueprintpodcast.com. See you next time.